Happy Friday, everybody. You know what time it is. It's hockey time, baby. Let's get right into today's topics.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. Thank you so much for making it your first listen every single day. As you can see, and as you can probably hear, it is Steele Roden, your host for today, going solo. Flip, getting married this weekend. So if you're listening, buddy, congratulations again. Hopefully it's a great wedding. Obviously, you're going to have a good time, but that's what he is at. That's where he's at right now. He's going to be focusing on his wedding, very much so. So again, congratulations, Flip. Very, very lucky man. And flying solo for today's episode. And for today's episode, we're going to be highlighting some key teams, some key players, and going over sort of, the second week so far to start the NHL season. And there's a couple of teams and players on those teams that I really want to talk about and highlight because I really think they've had an outstanding start to the NHL season so far. The first team, though, in the Atlantic Division that I really think that we have to highlight is the Boston Bruins. And, I could probably go back a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, whenever Flip and I did our predictions for, the divisions, where teams probably will fall, if they're going to make the playoffs or not. I may have to go back and retract my statement of the Boston Bruins missing the playoffs because they have absolutely dominated pretty much every single game that they've played so far this season. Obviously the one loss came to the Ottawa Senators. I believe it was 7-5 loss to the Ottawa Senators. And even in that game, they clawed their way back, not once, but twice to tie it up. They were down 3-0, come back and tie it up 3-3. They go down 6-3. They obviously came back in 6-5 and lose 7-5, but still there was no quit in this Bruins team, even in that game. But all the other games, the Washington Capitals, the Anaheim Ducks last night, absolutely pure domination from the Boston Bruins. And the guys that I really want to highlight are some of those top guys already that you know about. David Pastranak is still that guy for the Boston Bruins. And, looking back at it now, I very much so regret not taking Pastranak in the second round. It's debatable that he could be a first-round pick at this point. 5 games into the season, he's got 8 points. I believe he's top 5 or at least top 7 in points so far this season. Again, small sample size, only 5 games played, but he is a top dog in this league. And look, a couple people out there leaving some comments on the YouTube channel, pretty much yelling at us, why are you letting David Pastrnak fall this far? You guys were right. I should have taken David Pastrnak. A lot of people should have taken David Pastrnak a lot earlier than he went. But 8 points in 5 games, is just absolute domination from the Pasta Man in Boston right now. Alongside him, David Kretchy. It looks like he hasn't missed a step since he came back into the NHL. 5 points in 5 games as well. He's one of those guys where he's not going to get you a ton of shots, blocks, or hits, but he's putting up the point production alongside David Pastrnak, alongside Patrice Bergeron, even Taylor Hall, who's playing on the top line right now, filling in for Brad Marchand for whenever he comes back from his injury while he heals up. But David Kretchy is a guy that you could probably pick up on the waiver wire. And I actually looked at him last night. He was at 50%. He is currently at 62% on ESPN leagues. So he's gone up 12% just in one day. And, that's just a shout out to how well he's playing and how well he probably will continue. Because, again, he came back because of 2 reasons. He wanted to play with Marchand, Bergeron, and David Pastrnak again. And I really do feel like he missed that. And he at this point feels like the Boston Bruins can make a deep playoff run and hopefully win another Stanley Cup this season because, look, they're getting some great goaltending from Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, and they don't even have their full roster right now. Think about how great this Bruins team is going to be when they get Brad Marchand back, when they get Charlie McAvoy back, even when they get Brandon Carlo back, who's out with, I believe, a concussion right now. Those three guys are key pieces in the Bruins lineup. Extremely, especially Marchand and McAvoy, two of their top three players probably. I think it's probably at this point Patrice Bergeron. And it's, maybe a little bit silly to say, but he might be their fourth best player because you've got Marchand, Pastranak, and Charlie McAvoy on the point. So this team is going to be very, very scary when they're fully healthy. A lot of teams are going to have a ton of trouble trying to keep them down and win those games. Even Jake DeBrusk, I mentioned him on a couple of episodes ago. He's got 5 points in 5 games as well. He looks incredible after, obviously last year requesting a trade. He wanted out of Boston. He's getting a little bit more opportunity. They're utilizing him in the lineup a lot more than they did last year and even the year prior to that. So I think he's finally turned around and very happy with the situation with the Boston Bruins now. So really wanted to highlight the Bruins and those key players the Bruins have going to start the season. And hopefully Marchand, McAvoy, and Carlo come back and can just continue that fire that the Bruins started with. The next team I really want to talk about, though, it's the Vegas Golden Knights, another team where Flip and I both suggested or predicted that we're going to be a bubble team. I believe we both had them missing the playoffs. I definitely had them missing the playoffs. And again, it's a very small sample size to start the season. They've played 4, maybe 5 games at this point, but they have looked great in pretty much all of those games as well. They beat the LA Kings in their first game of the season, 4-3, defeated the Blackhawks 1-0, defeated the Kraken, I believe 5-2. They lost to the Flames 3-2. But again, though, obviously the Kings and the Kraken are not two teams that are justifiably good right now, probably bottom tier teams, but they have really dominated so far this season as well. But not just the Golden Knights that I wanted to highlight. It's really Jack Eichel that I want to highlight from the Vegas Golden Knights. It's the Jack Eichel revenge tour. And I've said that since the start of the season, before the season even started, actually. And I really like what he's done so far to start the season. He's looked incredible. He looks like he's back in his groove. I think a lot of people were very, very scared to take a chance on Jack Eichel obviously in your draft, when you're drafting your team, because of coming back from that injury, that neck injury, and obviously having the surgery that he wanted to have as well. Very scary to take a chance on a guy coming back from that injury. But a lot of people forget about how skilled he is and how much talent he has and what he even did with the Buffalo Sabres for the first 5-6 years of his career. I believe his career high was 82 points in a season. Even the last year he played with Buffalo, he had 18 points in 21 games. I think a lot of people forgot about that, and the fact that he was ranked 51st on the ADP charts or rankings for Yahoo and even ESPN, but even continue to fall down and down into the 7th, 8th rounds. That's where I actually drafted him up in both of my leagues. Was very surprising to see that he fell that far. But again, a lot of people were scared taking the chance on him, but he's been absolutely outstanding to start the season. 3 goals, 2 assists. He's currently still playing in a game, actually. I'm recording this, while they're still in their game. They are up 4-1 against the Winnipeg Jets. He currently has 2 goals in that game. So yes, 3 goals and 2 assists so far in the first 5 games of the season. And, alongside him, if you can, if they're available, which I check, and, obviously one of them probably is, Riley Smith is also playing on that top line with Jack Eichel right now. He's only owned at 10% on ESPN leagues right now. I'm not sure what he's at in Yahoo leagues, but he is another guy he's got 2 points so far. He's playing on that top line. He's got power play time as well. And on his right side, Phil Kessel, 62% owned. It looks like, again, Flip and I talked about this, where the Vegas Golden Knights are, trying to share the love throughout their entire lineup. And so far, it's really worked out. Phil Kessel and Riley Smith both have 2 points so far. They might have a couple of more points in this game against the Winnipeg Jets. I'll actually currently check that. But yeah, Jack Eichel has been absolutely outstanding. Yes, Riley Smith has an assisted on Jack Eichel's first goal of the game against the Jets. So those are 2 guys I would keep an eye on. If Phil Kessel or Riley Smith are available in your league and they're still going to continue playing on that top line with Jack Eichel, take a look, take a gander, and take a chance, really, because I think those guys can get a lot of point production and benefit their game as well, playing with a superstar in Jack Eichel. And yeah, I really like what the Vegas Golden Knights have done. I've placed a couple of bets on the Vegas Golden Knights, which have hit for me so far this season. And where you should be placing those bets is betonline.net. Betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs, football, and the start of course, the NBA season as well. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every single game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check out on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, NBA, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. Bet online, where the game starts. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Don't forget, we are free and available on all podcast platforms, which also includes YouTube. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Flip and I appreciate all the love and support out there. And we really love hopping on the podcast, making episodes every single week for you guys. Hopefully, we're helping you with your bets. Hopefully helping you with some waiver wire additions on Monday. And, just any kind of questions you have, leave a comment on the YouTube channel, and we will get back to you whenever possible. The last team I really want to talk about before we move over to the Fantasy League, actually, and our big-time bets, it's the Buffalo Sabres. We knew the Buffalo Sabres were going to be better this year. We didn't know how good they possibly could be. And again, it's another team that is off to a great start. They're currently playing in their fourth game right now against the Calgary Flames, actually winning this game 5-3. So again, when Flip and I made our big time bets in yesterday's episode, I was very wary of taking the Flames on the puck line because of how dominant the Sabres have been to start the season. And they're currently up 5-3 with just under 8 minutes to go. So it looks like that bet is not going to pan out properly. But the Buffalo Sabres are just one of those teams where it seems like every single year to start the month of October and even just the first couple of weeks in November, they get off to a very hot start. But I really do believe that fire will become smoke at the end of November and for the remainder of the season. I still think they're going to finish with more points than last year. But again, I just don't have a lot of faith in their goalies who have actually stood on their heads recently. Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie have actually played absolutely ridiculous. But that's not the guy I want to highlight right now. Rasmus Dahlin is way more important than any person on the Buffalo Sabres roster or lineup currently. 4 goals, 1 assist in his first 4 games to start the season. Yes, he scored again in that game against the Calgary Flames. He's shooting the puck with so much confidence right now. And I really do think by the end of the year, there could be a debate of him being a top 10 defenseman in this league right now. He scored in every single game so far to start the season. He's 22 years old. He's going to put up more than 170 shots for you. He's going to put up more than 120 hits, hopefully 70 to 80 blocks, which would be better than what he finished with last year, which was 65 or 66, I believe. But he's going to continue to get better and better every single year for the rest of his NHL career. He will probably finish as a top 10 defenseman by the end of the year. And if not, going into the 2023 season, he will probably be a top 10 defenseman because he has been outstanding for the Buffalo Sabres. A big reason why they're 2-1-0, probably going to go 3-1-0 by the time this episode is finished recording. But I've really liked what Rasmus Dahlin. I tried drafting him in my fantasy leagues as well. But right when I was about to draft him, someone snuck up and grabbed him 2 or 3 picks before me. So was unfortunate to draft him there. And that's really where I want to head to this conversation next is the Locked On Fantasy League. This was our first actual week for fantasy. We drafted late. We drafted after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving Day. So the season had already started, obviously, with the global series between the Nashville Predators and the San Jose Sharks. So our start to the season wasn't actually until October 17th. So we're in our first week right now. And I just want to highlight a couple of guys and highlight the two matchups Flip and I are in. And that's actually what I'm going to do right now. I'll bring it up. Currently, it's not been a great week for me. I'm currently down 7-1-3 to Coochie Coo, aka Matt Westfall. Shout out Matt for having an outstanding week so far. There are still Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, so the week isn't over. Hopefully I can turn it around, or hopefully my team can turn it around and win this first week again against Matt Westfall. But I'm currently down in the plus-minus category, the shots, the hits, the blocks, the special team points. I'm losing in the goaltender categories, but that's only because I've only had 2 goalie starts so far this week. You need 3 minimum for those to count. So once Vasilevsky plays pretty much tonight on Friday, those categories will come in for me and I will be winning all of the goalie categories for that. But, it's pretty close right now. We're tied in assists. I'm down in the plus-minus just by 1. He's absolutely killing me in shots and blocks, so I probably won't get to that by the end of the week. But everything else, it's a very close matchup right now. And I just want to highlight some of the guys on my team as well who I've really liked to start this season. Steven Stamkos has been outstanding again. 6 goals, 1 assist in his first 4 games. Has been absolutely great. 21 shots in the first 4 games, 5 hits, 3 blocks, and 4 special team points. He's been outstanding. Again, one of those players that I was pretty surprised to see drop in the draft. I already highlighted Jack Eichel, 3 goals, 2 assists so far. He's going to continue to shoot the puck for me as well. Johnny Gaudreau, 2 goals, 2 assists. Zach Hyman, Claude Giroux has been great. Alexis Lafreniere, another guy that could have a potential breakout season. 15 shots, 7 hits, and he's got 3 points on the season as well. Other than that, or Mikko Rantanen as well, 3 goals, 6 assists to start the season. Those are the top 4 guys currently on my team. I have Aaron Ekblad on the IR. I talked about that in yesterday's podcast, some guys that you could replace Ekblad with. Marc-Andre Fleury has been an absolute bust to start the season. Alex Newhook has been absolutely garbage. I'm probably going to drop him very, very soon. He has 0 points. He's a -3, only 5 shots, 4 hits, and 1 block to start the season. That is not how I expected Newhook getting that opportunity on the second line. It looks like he's been bumped down to the third line center position already. He's most likely going to get dropped from my team. So if anyone out there in the league is looking for Newhook, you're probably going to be able to get the opportunity to snag him up off the waiver wire. But I want to highlight Flip's matchup as well with the Golden Girls, aka Blake Creamer. Flip is actually currently up 6-5-0 in his matchup against the Golden Girls. He's sneaking out this win so far. Again, the goalie categories have been pretty bad to start the season for pretty much everyone. Whoever has Thatcher Demko or Marc-Andre Fleury, which I do, but if anyone has Thatcher Demko, I feel absolutely sorry for you. He's been, pretty bad to start the season. Again, we talked about this in yesterday's episode. The Vancouver Canucks have not been able to hold on to a lead, and they lose again against the Minnesota Wild in overtime. Kirill Kaprizov, my guy, wins it in overtime for the Wild to get their first win of the season. The Canucks are the only team left in the league without a win in regulation. Obviously, they are the only team left without a win. So that's how the fantasy league has been going so far. It's our first week. A lot of matchups going. Pretty much every single matchup beside Flips is getting smoked out of the park. There's teams winning 10-0-1, 9-1-1, 8-3-0, 7-3-1. So it's been a smoke show. But again, there's still Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night to make a change in these matchups. And hopefully my team can make a big, big comeback against Matt Westfall in the first week of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast League. So hopefully things can turn around. Thanks so much again for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. For your second listen, though, check out game-to-game NHL, every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On game-to-game covers all games from across the league with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. Again, just like this podcast right here. So if you're watching, if you're listening, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe. Flip and I appreciate all the love and support out there. And with that being said, it is now time for big time bets. My bets from last night: the Wild won on the money line in overtime. The Leafs won on the money line in overtime. So I'm thankful to have a better record heading into Friday, into today's episode. It looks like the Flames are not going to win on the puck line. It is still currently 5-3 with under 5 minutes to go. So that will be the one bet on Thursday that did not hit for me, but the money lines for both the Leafs and the Wild hit. They both won in overtime. Again, actually, Nick Robertson, if he's available in your league, which in most leagues he probably should be, he's most likely staying in the Leafs lineup. There's no way he gets sent back down. If he has even half or 75% of the skill that his brother Jason Robertson has, then he will be in the lineup full time. Hopefully he does, because he definitely deserves it at this point. But anyways, big time bets. 3 games on the board for Friday night. And I've got 3 bets for you, 2 coming from the same game. My lock of the night, though, I'm playing it safe here. It's going to be a close game, I believe, but I'm taking the Tampa Bay Lightning on the money line, -105 against the Florida Panthers. The Tampa Bay Lightning have been great to start the season. Obviously, with the injury to Aaron Ekblad, an injury to Brandon Montour, the blue line is not as steady as as obviously it should be. And I think that the Lightning are going to capitalize big time on that. Nonetheless, you've still got Vasilevsky, the second best goalie in the league, and Sergei Bobrovsky, who has looked decent, hasn't looked great, but he is still a great goaltender in this league. So that will actually be my second bet. Lightning and Panthers under 6.5 goals at +115. These teams can score at will. There's no question about that. They have a ton of talent up front, but I'm betting on the goaltending battle for, the Battle of Florida, obviously. Sergei Bobrovsky and Andrei Vasilevsky, I think they're going to put on a show. I think the Lightning win this 3-2 or 4-2 with an empty netter. I believe it's going to be a close, gritty game with a ton of skill, a ton of effort from both sides. But I'm taking the under at 6.5 at +115. I'm also taking the Avalanche on the money line at -200. The Seattle Kraken have been in some high-scoring games. Besides the Carolina Hurricane game where they lost 5-1, they've been in pretty close games as well. A couple in overtime, against the Kings and against the Blues as well. So I'm taking the Avalanche on the money line at -200 as my lock of the night. I'm going again to put these in a parlay as well as single bets, because that's what I like to do recently. Single bets and putting all 3 into a parlay. I feel really comfortable with those. But if you're not liking the money line for the Avalanche because it's not enticing enough and there's not enough money to be made, the over 6.5 at -120 in that Avalanche Kraken game should hit 100%. So far, the Kraken have been every single game for the Seattle Kraken has went over the number in the game, in the goals totaled at the end of the game. So those are the 3 bets, with a 4th honorable mention of the Seattle Kraken over 6.5 with the Avalanche. But Avalanche on the money line -200, the lock of the night. Lightning money line -105, and the Lightning Panthers under 6.5 at +115. Those are my 3 bets of the night. Hopefully Friday's bets can hit going into the weekend strong. Would really appreciate that, because it has not been a great start to the season for me betting wise, but we're hoping to turn that around. And again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. It's free and available on all podcast platforms. Make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Flip and I really appreciate all the love and support out there. Once you do, you'll get all the latest episodes Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. If you've placed any bets out there, put any money down, good luck with your bets. Have a great weekend, and we shall see you back here again on Monday.